Cassie has just unleashed explosive new evidence against Diddy, and the courtroom has erupted into total chaos. Inside sources reveal that the moment the evidence hit the courtroom floor, a wave of disbelief swept through everyone present. Attorneys were left scrambling, flipping through files, trying to process what had just been dropped. This surprise revelation has completely flipped the case on its head, leaving Diddy and his legal team blindsided and visibly rattled. Eyewitnesses report that Diddy, usually composed and confident, appeared stunned, his signature swagger replaced with sheer disbelief. And this dramatic turn of events is just the latest in a case already packed with months of legal fireworks, jaw-dropping claims, and escalating tension.
The singer Cassie says the incidents occurred throughout her 10-year relationship with Combs. Her suit was filed under a law that allows alleged sexual offense victims to file past the statute of limitations. Cassie says she wanted to speak out before that law expires next week. Mr. Combs has denied all the allegations. For more, let's bring in entertainment attorney Dante Mills. So Dante, thanks for being with us. Cassie has signed with that label when she was just 19 and Sean Combs was 37. What's alleged to have happened after that?
Thank you for having me, Catherine. So in this lawsuit, I just wanted to be clear, this is a civil lawsuit. This is not a criminal lawsuit. There's no chance here as we stand for Sean Combs to go to jail. It's a civil lawsuit about money. And the claim is that during their relationship, he was physically abusive, that he required or demanded that she perform certain sexual acts with other people while he was there.
Cassie, the woman at the heart of the explosive legal battle with Diddy, has just dropped what legal insiders are calling a bombshell. This isn't just another accusation. It's reportedly a game-changing revelation that could flip the entire case on its head. Although the whole extent of this fresh data is yet unknown, those close to the matter indicate it could be quite catastrophic. We are discussing leaked texts, private bank records, and even tape recordings of talks that might highlight truths concealed for years. Should this data be as strong as insiders assert, Diddy might find himself in quite another kind of danger.
He, in fact, raped her shortly before she left him. She said she did not want to have sexual relations with him, and he forced himself on her. That's the basis of this lawsuit and why it's moving forward. Now, you are right to talk about the fact that this lawsuit was brought in New York because these things happened years ago. So the statute of limitations is gone most places, but in New York, they had this law where they opened it up for a year and said, if you're a survivor of sexual assault, you have a year to bring your claim, and that expires next week, November 23rd of this year.
Okay, so you've handled several high-profile cases. What would your defense strategy look like?
Absolutely. I have a lot of high-profile clients, and the first thing that comes to mind when we get these lawsuits in, not just of this nature, but any of them, is that the people are about money. This is a civil lawsuit, and at the end of the day, Cassie would receive money if she wins.
Insider sources have suddenly revealed a bombshell twist in the case. Newly found emails, text messages, and even damaging audio recordings have surfaced, all pointing straight at Diddy and the explosive charges levied against him. These latest pieces of evidence, which were disclosed in court earlier today, are supposed to expose unsettling and previously unknown aspects regarding Diddy's conduct and exactly how far his alleged actions may have gone. The instant this proof struck the courtroom, things spiraled into mayhem. While Cassie's lawyers stood their ground, unflinching and calm, Diddy's legal team hurried to close it down, frantically seeking to expose holes in the assertions. Tensions ran so high, the judge had no choice but to slam the gavel and call for an emergency recess, only to quell the tempest erupting in the courtroom.
So Cassie's legal team, how are they going to handle questions about why she stayed in the relationship as long as she did and then waited so long to report the allegations?
Absolutely. That's a big subject because when you're in a relationship for that long, sometimes things build up where you walk in and you're being wined and dined and everything is fine, and gradually things go worse. So if I'm on her team as her attorney, I'm making it plain that that's what happened here. That the relationship began off well, but gradually it grew worse and worse to the point that she was locked in this vicious cycle. She was caught under his grip and almost didn't even recognize it till she got out of there and some years went by. And then she began to process and heal and say, I went through things that I did not agree with, and that should not have happened to me. that that's what her side would be claiming. If I'm on Sean Combs' side, I'm claiming that none of this came up when they were in a relationship.
The courtroom was swiftly thrown into disarray the minute Cassie's legal team disclosed their stunning proof. Prosecutors jumped on the news, calling it the missing puzzle piece they'd been waiting for, something that could finally seal the case with incontrovertible certainty. On the other side, Diddy's legal team was visibly shaken. Papers flew, hush talks got frenzied, and worry began to show. They hadn't seen this coming. One seasoned legal observer didn't mince words, calling it a checkmate moment, suggesting Diddy might have just ran out of legal lifelines. Meanwhile, the internet is in meltdown mode. Social media is blazing with hashtags like Farf, Cassie vs Diddy, and Adkar, explosive evidence rocketing to the top of trending lists globally.
Mila Morales. She's a former makeup artist for Diddy and also Cassie Ventura, working for Diddy for years and eventually becoming a friend of Cassie's. In 2010, Mila alleges that she heard Cassie being physically abused and was a witness to the aftermath of the alleged attack. She joins me now. Mila, thank you so much for being here. This has been, for so many people, illuminating, infuriating, troubling, devastating. You can go down the list of things, but it's so difficult to speak about.
I know.
Being a witness of anything. Tell me how you must be feeling just knowing that this has even come to light.
Well, I have kept this secret for like 14 years. I mean, the first time I experienced it was 2010.
Cassie's bold move to share new evidence has sent shockwaves through the internet. Fans are applauding her courage, calling it a powerful stand for truth. On the flip side, Diddy's critics are sounding the alarm, labeling the revelations as the smoking gun that could finally turn the tide and deliver long-awaited justice. This bombshell has reignited fierce debates. Is Diddy truly innocent, or has he just been shielded by power for too long? With this fresh evidence now in the spotlight, many are wondering, will it be the game changer that cracks the case wide open? For months, Diddy has stood his ground, firmly denying every accusation thrown his way. He's painted the allegations as nothing more than a coordinated attempt to take him down, a smear campaign built on lies. His legal team hasn't pulled any punches either. They've gone full throttle, challenging witness credibility, picking apart timelines, and launching a relentless effort to dismantle Cassie's story piece by piece.
I was in the hotel room when Puff came in, and I had no idea Cassie left. And when I woke up, I just saw his presence come into the room. They went into the bedroom and shut the door, and all I could hear is screaming and yelling and whatever was going on in there, I don't know. But all I could think of was to grab Cassie's things and start packing it up and just getting her out to safety and bringing her to my house. So that's kind of like what.
But now, with this explosive new piece of evidence coming to light, Diddy's entire legal defense could be crumbling right before our eyes. If the claims about this evidence hold true, what was already a tough legal battle for Diddy might just have become a legal nightmare, borderline unwinnable. How then did things spiral to this degree? Let us reverse and dissect it. It all started when Cassie, real name Cassandra Ventura, sued Diddy shockingly earlier this year. Her charges, harassment, emotional manipulation, and years of claimed abuse during their marriage were disturbing. With both sides armed with strong accusations and each new turn shocking the public and media alike, the lawsuit became among the most discussed court showdowns in recent memory from the minute it broke through the headlines.
Go to the police at that point or anything?
No, we didn't know what to do at that point because, Puffy is a very powerful person and we were quite terrified. So I just, brought her to my house, and my friend who is a doctor, I called her, and thank God she was in town because we didn't know what to do. And she treated her for, just to make sure she didn't have a concussion or anything like that. But it was really it was painful to see Cassie like that because she's such a beautiful human being.
Diddy has repeatedly brushed off the accusations, labeling them as nothing more than lies meant to tarnish his name. However, the shocking new evidence brought forward by Cassie is shaking the foundation of his defense, raising serious questions about the truth behind his denials. Social media is in complete meltdown. Every scroll reveals explosive opinions and heated debates about the courtroom drama. Fans, critics, and even top legal minds are diving in, with some saying we're witnessing the slow unraveling of Diddy's empire. Yet others argue this is just the next calculated move in a ruthless, high-stakes chess match that's far from its final move. But no matter where you stand, one thing is impossible to ignore.
Remember, the trial starts first week in May? I believe May 5th?
If it starts then.
If it starts then. And if she is on the stand, as we expect her to be, she is victim number one in the indictment.
She's going to be the star witness.
That she's the star witness. Now you have the star witness pregnant on the stand. That is a...
Well, you know what it is.
I mean, the sympathy...
You know what it is. We can go back a few segments here, and it's kind of the Rihanna effect in the courtroom. And they're going to look at this woman who is pregnant, engaged, and it's kind of, trying to juxtapose these two images. And so, I mean, that's the subliminal.
This case has suddenly veered wildly and shockingly, one that none saw approaching. Explosive fresh material has surfaced apparently from official legal channels, as well as from vigorous private investigation activity. Among the findings are a series of emails and text messages that purportedly expose Diddy discussing highly worrisome and inappropriate activity with his inner group. Even more disturbing, audio recordings have surfaced, supposedly documenting talks that fit Cassie's claims of manipulation and control rather shockingly. Legal experts are calling this revelation a possible bombshell and warn that allowing this information into court might drastically change the whole course of the case and maybe result in a conviction. The judge has not yet decided whether this material will be legally admitted into the courtroom. But one thing is certain, Diddy's public reputation might already be past the point of no return.
In the documents, he says, we've seen it play out this way for decades. He says they did it to Chuck Berry, they did it to the boxer Jack Johnson, using this Mann Act, and now they're trying to do it to me when all I'm doing is leading my life the way lots of people do, and they're never prosecuted for it, particularly when they're white.
And in our documentary, The Downfall of Diddy, which is on Tubi, we talked to Mark Agnifilo, Diddy's lawyer, who said racism was a core part of the defense.
Right. Well, will this be successful? I mean, essentially, Diddy's team is saying they're kind of admitting that he committed that he did have sex workers.
Yeah, not necessarily. It's
that he did hire sex workers.
Yeah.
Who came to his parties, and that's just how he gets down.
Meanwhile, insiders close to Diddy reveal that he's absolutely livid about the recent turn of events. Whispers from behind the scenes suggest he feels not just betrayed, but completely ambushed, as if the rug was pulled out from under him. Some even say he suspects he was deliberately set up. And now, he's allegedly plotting some bold legal moves to strike back hard. But here's the million-dollar question. Does he actually have an escape plan? Or is this the smoking gun that could bring his empire crashing down? On the other side, Cassie's inner circle hasn't held back. Friends and allies are rallying behind her, calling her a brave survivor who's finally reclaiming her voice after years of silence.
Difficulty that Diddy's going to have.
The part they're not going to be able to escape is when they play the
video of her being
hotel
dragged
beating
out of,
video.
That's right. No,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. But that's what they're going to argue.
That's going to be the game
For
going
sure.
back and forth. Speaking of the freak-offs, Diddy has a defense for that. And
Count 3 actually alleges sex trafficking involving 3 female victims in addition to the male escorts. So I believe there's a great disparity in the characterization of the case just within the motion they're filing and the indictment as it's filed. Now, it is true that the Mann Act does have a racial history. It was used many years ago to target African Americans who were engaging in what might be called immoral conduct, according to the Times. But that statute was amended several times. It removed the immoral purposes and it removed some other language and now restricts application of the statute to conduct involving sex trafficking and transportation related to criminal conduct.
They claim the evidence is not just compelling. It could completely shift the direction of the entire case. But Diddy's legal team isn't backing down. They're hitting back hard, saying the so-called evidence is nothing more than a twisted narrative, manipulated, misrepresented, and taken way out of context. According to them, Diddy is being targeted in a calculated smear campaign, a deliberate attempt to destroy his public image and erase everything he's built. And make no mistake, the pressure is immense. If this evidence holds any weight in court, Diddy's not just at risk of public humiliation. He could be staring down devastating legal consequences that might change his life forever. Text messages are being made public in the sex trafficking case against Sean Diddy Combs. The texts were revealed on September 18th, while Diddy was in federal court to protest his denial of pretrial release following his arrest and indictment earlier this week for sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He has pled not guilty to all the accusations. During his bail application, NBC reporters inside the courtroom claimed that Deputy U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson read out loud the text that Diddy apparently sent to Cassie Ventura after an altercation in a hotel in 2016. She recalls security tape of the event that made public showing Diddy hitting his then-girlfriend in a hotel corridor.
The text from Diddy at the time read, quote, "Call me, the cops are here. I got 6 kids. Yo, please call, I'm surrounded. You gonna abandon me all alone?" The assistant U.S. attorney argues in court that, quote, the defendant knew he had done something that could elicit.
Prosecutors are already debating potential next steps, with some insiders saying that this fresh evidence might lead to further charges or perhaps a fast-raced conviction. This isn't just a story about Cassie and Diddy. It's about the bigger themes of power and accountability in the entertainment business. The shocking evidence has generated crucial questions about how victims of abuse are treated and whether the justice system is ready to unearth the truth. Some are pushing for reforms to ensure that all evidence is thoroughly investigated, while others claim that Diddy's condition is a consequence of his alleged acts.
She added that if the music producer were freed from jail, it may prohibit from testifying against him and rejected him bail a second time. E! News has reached out to spokespeople for Cassie and Diddy for comment and has not yet heard back. The texts were brought up in regard to the federal indictment against the music mogul, which alleges that, quote, "For decades, Diddy mistreated, threatened, and pressured women and others around him to meet his sexual needs, maintain his reputation, and conceal his actions." Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnafilo, who maintains his client is, quote, "innocent and has nothing to conceal," has offered insight into Diddy's current situation. He's not a flawless person. There has been drug use. He has been in toxic relationships, he told the court, according to NBC News, adding that Diddy is seeking treatment and therapy for things that he needs treatment and therapy for. Cock. Treatment and therapy for items that he requires treatment and therapy for. Diddy is due back in court October 9th. However, Cassie's legal team is adamant, asserting that the truth is finally being revealed. They made it apparent in their most recent statement that they think justice is achievable and that Diddy cannot be exempt from responsibility due to a lack of resources, influence, or power. And the courtroom isn't the only place responding. Industry insiders are now starting to turn away from Diddy. Some of their former partners have deleted previous posts on social media, while others have declined to comment on the controversy.
Governments prove particulars given and consequently can constrain unnecessarily the government's capacity to present its case. Basically, if we offer you that bill of particulars right now, then we might be simply restricted to just what's in that file, which could impair our case down the road, especially if we're continuing to examine what's going on. The prosecution says courts typically reject requests for victim identities in cases involving crimes of violence and racketeering, especially when the government indicates a risk to witness safety, the potential for witness coercion or subordination of perjury. Courts also commonly dismiss requests for bill of particulars containing victims' names on the premise that these requests are, in essence, a backdoor attempt to get a list of the witnesses whom the government wants to call at trial. But even withstanding the defendant's procedural fault, the motion also falls on the merits because there's no need for a bill of particulars specifying victim names here. The defendant has been more than properly advised of the substance of the charges he faces based on inter alia, the 14-page spoken indictment.
Brands and business partners are reevaluating their affiliations with the once iconic billionaire as a result of this legal struggle, which is starting to have an impact well beyond the courtroom. According to some accounts, Diddy's well-known acquaintances have reportedly cut off all communication with him out of fear of getting drawn into the scandal. One question remains prominent as the investigation progresses. What will Diddy do next? Will his defense team be able to refute the bombshell evidence, or will it result in a conviction?
Witnesses in the Enterprise letter. And at the time of this recording, neither the prosecution nor the judge have responded to the defense's request. But that is not the only important filing submitted this week. No, because the defense and the prosecution jointly submitted an addendum to a protective order involving alleged sex tapes that the prosecution obtained of Combs. Now, the accusation is that there's some sort of malfeasance demonstrated in these videos, some type of coercion or intimidation or proof that Combs may have been involved in the hiring of commercial sex workers or engaging in sex trafficking. Now, the defense had requested that the tapes be turned over to them. Now, the judge denied that request, denied the defense the ability to get copies of these tapes, but it was made clear that the defense, if they want to see it, they will be given proper access to it when they need to. But this week's filing is important because this week's filing reads, quote, whereas on January 14th, 2025.
And how will Cassie recover from this painful experience? For the time being, the world is watching the courtroom to see how the story will play out. More people have come forward to relate their experiences, and the leaked material has also resulted in a revival of previous accusations against Diddy. According to legal experts, if Cassie's evidence demonstrates a pattern of activity, it may pave the way for additional lawsuits and criminal proceedings. This case could have far-reaching consequences.
Lays out how the attorneys will actually handle this highly sensitive material. It reads, the footnote 3 material will be produced via 2 encrypted hard drives to Tenny Garagos, who will have sole custody of the drives, which will be stored in a secure location at the Agnifilo in Trader LLP office. So Tenny Garagos is one of the attorneys representing Sean Combs alongside Mark Agnifilo. It goes on to say, quote, the footnote 3 material will not be viewed on or copied to a computer that connects to the internet, seemingly as a way to make sure it's not disseminated. The password to the encrypted drives will be provided by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York solely to Tenny Garagos. The defendant's retained audio and visual enhancement expert may be provided one of the 2 encrypted drives. Tenny Garagos may share the password to the drive only with the AV expert. The AV expert may attempt to enhance the audio or visual quality of the footnote 3 material and to independently review and analyze its metadata.
Furthermore, it appears that Diddy is being surrounded by walls more quickly than anyone could have imagined. The legal dispute is only anticipated to get more intense as more information becomes available. According to insiders, Diddy's legal team is frantically working behind the scenes, looking into every avenue to refute the new evidence or submit an urgent move to have it dismissed. Nevertheless, most observers think it will be hard, if not impossible, to repair the harm given the courtroom's response and the strength of the case.